Okay,
Yeah.
so recording is starting. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. You should be able to see that. Okay, so navigating first to the Pages module on Tilma. So when you're logged in as an admin, you'll have your left-hand menu here. Generally, the first thing you're going to land on when you first log in is the People tool, and this is going to be your internal directory of accounts on Tilma. To navigate to the Pages module, you're going to want to scroll to the Content tab, open up that dropdown, and press into the Pages module. So that's what we have here. The Pages module is going to be a list of all of the pages on your site, excluding pages that have their own module. For example, your bulletins page, your ministries pages, sacraments pages, and school pages. Those have their own sections on Tilma. And so these pages are going to be anything outside of that. A few of the things that I'd like to show on this page is, first, you have your list of pages. To create a new page, you press the button on the top right saying new page. There's a distinction between these icons. So you have the paper icon as well as the folder icon. If it's a folder icon, it means that there's more pages within that. It's a parent page with other pages inside of it. So to open this folder, you just have to click the icon and that'll open it. Clicking it again will close that parent page. The other thing to note, you have tags here for your different pages. So these tags mean this is a templated page versus just a basic page. So for example, this home page uses the home template. The privacy policy page uses a basic page. You have your welcome template, and we'll go over a few of these: ministries, resources, giving, live stream. All of these are templated pages, and we'll be going over that today. Another thing to note on this page is on the right-hand side, you have your ellipses, and this is where you have different options for these pages, be it adding another child page inside of that page, previewing that page, or purging the cache of that page itself. So that's how the pages index works, and how you can tag all of these, add all of these tags into those pages. So let's pause real quick, just maybe 5-10 seconds here. Type your questions if you have any about the pages index. Afterwards, I'll move on to creating a new page. Okay, so creating a new page on the top right, we're going to press this new page button, and this is how we're going to create a new page on our site. You're going to see on the top here, there's settings and there's editor. And what that is essentially, settings is going to be all of your header information of your page, be it your title, the feature image, what layout or template it uses, the SEO and social settings. And then the editor is the actual content of the page that you are creating. Things to note on this page, if it has a star on that section, that means it's a required field to fill out. So in this case, title is a required field, as well as page template is a required field. So let's go ahead and fill these out. Let's call this our basic page demo. So that's the title of our page. And we'll add a feature image. So this feature image goes on the top of our page as the preview, as the header photo of that. It also goes into when we link this page into other things, then that's the preview image, the little square image that's going to show up with it. So press that browse button and you'll get taken to your file picker on your computer. And we're going to select this photo that I have here. It'll say uploading. Once it turns green, it'll say upload complete. Your photo is ready to go. You can also click into this pencil icon to move the focal point. And you can see on the right-hand side, as I move this focal point, the image will change for the preview. The other thing you can add here is alt text. So you can add a description, St. Matthew's Parish building entrance. And then you can go ahead and press save on that. And it will re-upload that with all of that information saved. And I'll go to upload complete. Next, we're going to choose our page template. And so for this one, you have a list of different pages, and we'll go through a few of these. This one is a basic page. That's going to be where you can add everything that you want onto a page as if you were adding it to a Word document and creating a page that way. And then all of these templated pages are pre-built with a certain layout that can't be changed, but you can add specific information in there. For example, for the mass times page, you would have to add your mass times in your site settings for it to be filled onto that mass times page. For now, let's continue with a basic page. And we'll go down here. The next section of this is the custom page URL. So as you can see, the title that I chose for my page is basic page demo. By default, my URL is going to be whatever my site name is, in this case, tilmademo.com/basic page demo, basic-page demo. So that'll take from your title. If you want to change this to be something else, it'll be tilmademo.com/demo page, for example. So you can use this section here to change that URL to something else that you want to change it to. Scrolling down, you can see that there's another section here called SEO and Social Settings. So what this is you can change your browser title. So the browser title is what's going to show up on your browser. For example, if you have multiple tabs open, the title on the tab, you can change that per page that you create. So for example, we can call this one Tilma page demo, and that'll be the title that we'll see up here when we open it and view it live. The canonical URL, say you're copying something from another website and you're just copying the full content of it and creating a page for it, you would use this canonical URL almost as a way to refer back to that original site that you're taking that information from. So it's almost like citing your sources for the information on this page. Otherwise, feel free to leave it blank. It's not one of the required things that you can add on there. Search keywords, say you were doing a Tilma search. These are the keywords that you'd want to attach to this page so people can find this page. And then meta description, say you're searching for something on Google. The meta description is the thing that shows up after the title, and then you have your description there. So just more information for your page that you're creating. And as you can see on all of these, there is a little help text on the bottom that will tell you kind of what this section is about and best practices for it. Same thing can be done for a social media description. So say you're sharing this page on social media, you can add a separate description to get people to click on this specifically when you're sharing it either on Facebook or Instagram or something. And then lastly, on this section, you have your social media image. So rather than sharing, for example, this image that we uploaded, you can select a different image that will display if you're sharing this on social media, for example, on Facebook. And again, same mechanics, you press the browse button, select your image, and then this will override the image when you're sharing it on social media. The last section I'm going to touch on is the navigation settings. So in the navigation settings, you have your redirect URL. So if, say, you create a page and a year from now you decide, actually, this page is something that I don't want parishioners or my students or whoever to see anymore, well, I've created this new page instead that I want them to go to. But this old URL is still live on there somewhere. You can instead have them, anyone who goes to this page will instead get redirected to whatever URL you put in here. That way you can keep this old URL active and they can instead go to the new page that you create with the new information. So you could do /about/contact, for example. So it would go to tilmademo.com/about/contact instead of, and for anyone trying to go to tilmademo.com/basic page demo or demo page, they would instead go to /about/contact. So I'm going to remove that now. The next section here, this relates to parent pages and folders on the pages index. So I'm going to reopen this pages index here. As you can see, the about folder or the about page is a folder that has pages within it. In this case, the page that we're creating does not have a parent page, meaning it's a standalone page. What we can do is add this to another page to nest it inside one of the other pages to make it a child page of that other page. So for example, if I wanted to move this into the About folder, I can choose a parent page and put it under About. Or you can choose any of your other pages. Say you choose History, then it'll go underneath, instead of the About folder, it'll go underneath the History page, and it'll create a folder under the History page. So it'll turn this into this icon from a piece of paper to a folder. Let's put that back to no parent page. And then you can also change the menu title. This is how this page will display on the menu, either in the navigation menu or in the sidebar menu when you're displaying it on the live site. So for example, demo page would be the title of this. And then you can check and uncheck this box. And this is to display the page in the site menu. Now, if you uncheck this, it means this page will not show anywhere on your website. The only way to get to this will be to go through direct URL. So whatever the URL is for this. Otherwise, you can turn this on and this page will display on the page menu. For example, all of these pages are in the same About folder. So if I open any of these, for example, if I open up the History page, you can see on the left-hand side, there's all of these child pages that match this list here. And I can go into any of those. So if I have my page not displaying, then it will not display in this left-hand menu. Otherwise, I can turn that on and it will display with this title on it. A few options for parent pages. So in our case, for example, the About page. You can set different types of options for it. Be it, hey, this is a standard page, so this demo page will have its own page with information on it. Or you can make it redirect to whatever the first child page is of this folder. In this instance, anyone who goes to tilmademo.com/about will instead be redirected over to the first child page. So instead of going to /about, they're going to go to /about/contact instead. The other option for it is to set it as a folder. And you can see in this in the text underneath here, if you set it as a folder only, it means it doesn't have a landing page. It doesn't redirect to the first child page. It's almost just a place where you can keep pages and have them organized and detailed and put in a certain order so that it's easier for you to view. When you have something set as a folder, the URL will not reflect on the child pages. For example, if this About page was set as a folder only and it didn't have a landing page at all or be redirected to the first page, at the moment, this contact page, the URL is /about/contact, and you can see that there. If we were to remove the About folder and only set it as a folder, the URL would then change from /about/contact to just /contact. It would remove this /about from the URL or from the slug. And that's what this is saying here in this text. So changing it to a folder only will change the URL structure of the folder or of the page itself. Lots of information. I'm going to take another 15-second pause here so you can kind of reflect on the things we just talked about. Add your questions in the chat if you have them, and then I'll keep going into the editor section of pages.
If probably part of your questions are like, can you re-explain some section? That would be useful also if we went too fast into some section. If you need like a deeper explanation of a section, please also put it in a question. It's okay. That's how we can also learn if everything that we're showing you is really being helpful for you.
Yeah, so let's hop on over to the editor section of Tilma. So you have your title, you have your feature image, your template. This one is a basic page. If you were to choose any of the other templates on here, you would have to first publish your changes or save it as a draft and exit for the editor to know that that's what you've designated this page as. Otherwise, as a basic page, you don't have to do that. You can go straight into the editor. But say you were to change this to a contact page, you'd have to publish it first before going into it to edit it as if it were a contact page. That way it saves that template and redoes the whole page so that the editor will reflect that change that you made. But for a basic page, you can go ahead and just add the information right away. So I'm going to go into the editor now. And here you'll see, right, there's only content. This is where you're going to type all of the information for your basic page. If this was a page, basic page within a folder, you'll also be able to see all of the child pages on the left-hand menu here. Or if it was a templated page, this section would change differently to reflect that type of template. And as well, after I publish this, you'll be able to see that the header image, feature image will show up at the top here. But let's get into the editor of Tilma. Well, the editor on Tilma with this quick insert tool and the way that you type it is going to be used across Tilma, be it in creating an event, creating an announcement, sending a content email, sacrament pages, ministry pages. The content editor tool will be the same throughout. So the training that we're providing here, you can use not just for pages, but also for a host of other things in your Tilma suite. So we'll click into this content section, and you can go ahead and start typing. This is going to be the content of the page. You can press enter, start a new line, type your next section here, and press enter. You can also press backspace to delete, text, same way that you would on any text editor that you use. In order to change the formatting of certain text, you can highlight the text and the formatting tool will show up where you can center it, put it to the left, make it a block quote, remove that. You can bold or italicize the text that you have. You also have different options for paragraph formatting, normal, heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3, and that'll change the text on here. We can also backspace to highlight and delete. You can create a numbered list, a bulleted list, each come with their own drop downs as well for other options. And you can create a hyperlink against certain text. So for example, if we were to say, click here to go to Google, we can highlight this click here section and insert a link, and it'll bring up our hyperlink editor. So you can type in your link here. We want them to go to google.com when they click, and they can open it in a new tab. And we'll press insert there. As you can see, this highlights, this turns into an underlined text and a different color from the regular text, showing that it is a hyperlink, and they can click there, and they'll be going to whatever link that you set on here, www.google.com. You can also erase that. You can upload a file as well, upload a PDF into this instead of sending them to a link. It'll instead download this PDF file for them. So when you click that, it'll open up the file picker on your computer, and it must be a PDF file or the upload won't work. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And now we can go into the quick insert tool, and we can go over, we'll go over some of these items here. So the quick insert tool shows up every time you start a new line and press enter, you'll get the quick insert tool. And this will show you all the other options that you have on a page that other than just typing in text. So for example, you can insert an image and click here, and you'll get your file picker on your computer and upload that image. So we can go ahead and insert that photo, and that photo will show up. You can also remove the image, add a link to that image, add a caption, or edit it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. We'll go to the next section here. You can insert a video into this page as well. And by a video, you're not uploading the video file. Instead, what you're doing is adding a link, say from YouTube or Vimeo, and adding it there, and it'll automatically embed that video that you choose. Next option here, you can add a numbered list or a bulleted list. Those are pretty self-explanatory. You can also add a horizontal line to create different sections on your page. Again, pressing backspace will remove it. You can insert a form on a page. Now, forms is something that we won't go over in today's webinar, but you can create forms on Tilma. There is a forms builder feature, and you can insert those forms on pages for your people to fill out, for your site visitors to fill out. You can also insert a content block. So what a content block is it pulls in the feature image as well as the title and some preview text of some content that already lives on your site. So we can click into this insert content block, let it load, and we'll get the content block editor. You can add a title to your content block or not, and then you have an option to display up to 4 resources on here. But the important place is this search for a piece of content. For example, if I wanted to add, this contact page onto my content block, there's a couple ways that I can do that. I can either highlight this URL, copy and paste that into here, and it should display page contact. The other way that I can do it is by typing out contact, using it like a search bar, and you get contact page there. Or you type in page, it'll show you a bunch of different pages that are on your site. The more detail that you can put in the search bar, the easier. But I've found that the easiest way to get the exact piece of content that you want in there is to use the URL of the page or the event or the announcement or resource that you want to fill into that. So for example, that's the contact page. That's the one that we want to show on our page. You'll see you have the feature image, you have the title, as well as a little bit of some text in there. You can always go back into that and edit, or press this delete button on the bottom left to delete that content block. I won't go too much into it, but you can also insert an HTML block into your page. So say you have a post on Instagram or Facebook that you want to show on a page. You can click this insert HTML block section and copy and paste that embed code into here, and then press save, and it'll save onto your page. And then you can also delete on the bottom left to get rid of the embed code that you created. Last couple ones here, you have a button function. So we can press this button. What this does, the same thing that a hyperlink would do, except it gives you a button to click for it. You can change the text inside of the button. Click here to download this form. And then instead of going to a URL, you can upload that PDF file on your computer and insert that form onto this button so that anyone who presses this button will download that PDF that you add or attach to it. Or click here to visit the Tilma website, and then you just go tilmaplatform.com on the URL. You can also highlight that and delete it to backspace to get rid of that button. The last section on here is the insert accordion. So we're going to go ahead and insert an accordion on this. So what an accordion is, it's those sections on a page that you can expand and make smaller. And then you go to the next section, expand that, make it smaller with a plus button. So what we're going to do is add a tab, change our title. So this is question 1, for example. And then you can add your text here. And the same editor that I've been showcasing on the regular page also applies to inside of this accordion. You have your quick insert tool, which has less items than the regular page quick insert tool, but you can still add quite a few items. You can always add more tabs in here. So this would be question 2. This is the second question. We'll go ahead and press save on the bottom right or delete on the bottom left. For example, if we save that, now you can see question 1, question 2, and then you have your plus buttons for whoever's visiting your site. They can open up that, that accordion to get all the information inside of it. You can always go back into that and edit. You can also add icons into each tab. So for example, we add a cross to this tab. And for this one, let's go with a clock. We'll press save and you can see that change. You can see the icons on the left there. Now, if you want to delete this, we'll go ahead and delete on the bottom left. And now we have an empty page again. So this is the content of the page. The last thing, after you've done all of your settings, you've put everything into the editor, you have two options. You can either save it as a draft and exit and work on it later, or you can go ahead and publish the page, and that'll be live on your site for anyone to go to. For example, on this one, I did basic page demo. If I were to preview on the right side, now you can see you have the image that we uploaded, the title of your page, as well as the content that we added on there. And I can X out of that. Some of the pages that we have on Tilma are cached. When you create a new page or make an update on a page, it might not always show up right away. And that's due to the caching that we've added on our pages to help with site performance. One of the ways to refresh the cache of a page for your site visitors is if you hover over this ellipses, you can see the Purge Cache Now button. And that'll purge the cache for that and refresh it so that it's the most up-to-date from all of the changes that, that you've made. So that's the basic page that I just showed you. Let's do about 10, 15 seconds to gather our thoughts, add some questions in the chat if you have them. And then I'll go over some of the templated pages that we have and the type of editing that you can do on those. Okay, so say we want to edit our homepage. Oh, sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. Now that we've created our page, our basic page demo, for example, there's a couple of ways to show this page on our site. You can either add it into your navigation menu on the top menu in your footer somewhere, add it onto another page and add a link to it, and just use the URL that that is generated. So in this example, you can use this link to link it on another page, either by a button, a hyperlink, putting it on your navigation menu somewhere in your footer. So that's how you would display this new page that you've created for your parishioners or for your students or your site visitors. But let me go into some of these templated pages and we'll go over home, welcome, ministries, and maybe take a look at the difference between these pages versus a basic page where you have access to editing that entire page. For example, if you go into this home page of this Tilma demo site, the editor rather, let's let that load for a bit. We'll go into the editor here. You can see that you can't edit this page the same way that you would the basic page. There are sections that are made specifically for this template, but you do have some options of editing it. For example, you can move this section up and down. You can delete that section. You can edit this section, for example, change the layout of it, add a second button on the right, for example, mass times, and make it go to your mass times link. And then you can always press update on the top right. So all of these templated pages, if we go back into settings, you can select from this page template dropdown. So you have home, mass times, contact page. There's different types, and we'll go over a few of them in this call or in this webinar. You can see you can edit the featured section, and it'll edit as if you were editing a content block. upload a bulletin that links directly to your bulletin section here on the back end of Tilma and the bulletins module. The same thing with announcements, events, get started. All of these cards you can also edit as if you were editing a content block. Keep scrolling. You see Father Paul here as a introduction from the priest or message from the priest. You can press enter. Hello. You can add more sections into there and move them up and down. On the homepage specifically, there is a section here, a gray section. So sections past here are hidden on the live site. So this donate section, for example, will not show for whoever's visiting this site. If you press delete on any of these sections, it automatically sends it below this gray line. And to bring it back, you just have to press this up arrow to send it back up to the top and reorder this how you want to. After your changes are made, go ahead and press the update button on the top right to save your changes, and then you can preview it. And if it's not showing that preview properly to your changes, make sure to purge the cache to make sure that you get the most up-to-date view of that page. A few of the other pages we can go over, the contact page, for example. Let's go into the editor there. You can add more content here, and you get the same editor that you would on a basic page. It uses the same Tilma content editor there. You can add more sections, more content. It adds a form here from your forms module, and then you get your team that you can add there as well. Let's go back here. Let's not save our changes. You have your welcome page for people who are new to the parish, for example. You want to add certain sections there. You can give them a nice message there. Move these sections up and down the same way that you would on the home page, or delete them. And then you have your pre-built templates on here. Now, with these templated pages, for example, if you wanted to change these links, these are hard-coded specifically for this template it's designated specifically to encourage people to go to Our Beliefs, Becoming Catholic and Sacraments pages that are pre-built on Tilma. Unfortunately, if you wanted to create your own section on here, you would have to create a new type of page that's not templated, because there isn't a way to edit these specific cards on here. But you can move them up and down or delete them. And the same goes for these other sections as well. We'll go back to the pages list here. And let's maybe do one more page. Let's go into the events page. And we'll go into the editor there. You can set a featured event. You can view all the latest events. And this also just will display your Tilma calendar for your events. Or you can set a featured event to put at the very top. So there's a lot of information that I just threw out there. We have the chat for all of your questions. For the questions that we don't get to today, our support team will be sending out a follow-up email after this, answering those questions. Or if it's outside of the scope of this training, we can also reach out specifically to you for if you had a specific question for your site, and we'll try to address it directly to you. So Chris, that's the end of my presentation here. I don't know if you want to open it up for questions, or if you had other things that you wanted to share on here.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jan, for that. And yeah, so we received all your questions, and also some of the questions that you send us through the registration form for this webinar. So all of them are, we have them all them, we grouped them. I'm gonna give the microphone to John. So John will make some questions. So let's spend 10 minutes something to try to solve those questions. And as Jan mentioned, if we don't go through the question you ask, please, you'll be receiving an email with those with the answers for those.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name is John. Some of you I've met over email, along with Andrea. If you've ever had questions, and emailed support@tilmaplatform.com or use the help button at the bottom of your pages. It's me and Andrea responding to your emails. So thank you for your questions. Thank you for being here. As Chris said, we've done our best to bring together questions that fit within the scope of what Jan has discussed. And if anything falls outside the scope, or it's maybe about a specific tool, or maybe a problem that you're experiencing on your site, Andrew and I will reach out to you proactively after this presentation, and we can work together to resolve those issues or to answer those specific questions. So Jan, I'll go ahead and I'll ask you some questions here, and we have a few in the chats that we've collated. Could you give us an example of when it'd be best to use or set a page as a folder only? I think you explained well the redirect or making it a parent page, but when would be a good time to use the folder if I'm building out my website, for example?
Yeah, great question. I think an example for it would be, say you have a ministry leader who is doing religious ed for your parish. You can create a folder in the pages index called religious education and add all of the pages for religious ed into that folder, be it a registration page, a frequently asked question page, whatever kind of page you want to do. What you can do then is set that as a folder only, and that way the URL doesn't change to, tilmademo.com/religious education/questions or sign up. Instead, you can bypass that URL or that extra chunk in the URL and go straight to that text. The other thing that you can do with that is if you were to give permissions to your religious ed director to edit pages on Tilma, you can give permissions specifically only to that folder. So they can have access to editing pages on Tilma, but only to that subset of everything in that folder, rather than them being able to see all of the pages on your site, maybe some stuff that they don't need access to. So that would be an example of using the folder only for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Another question here for you, Jan. Can images be inserted side by side on the basic pages that you've shown us today?
Yeah, great question. You can add images side by side. Perhaps I should have shown that. So let me go ahead and share my screen again and show how that is done. So if we were to go back to our basic page demo and go back to our editor, we'll go ahead and add our two images here. And let's go ahead and add the same image twice. And we'll insert that, and we'll go ahead and add another image here. And let's insert the same image twice. You can grab this image and drag it up and put it side by side with that photo. And you can, again, drag it, move it back down, or drag it and swap them. So that's how you would add or move photos side by side on a basic page. You can also remove them or keep them as is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. Is there a way to change the font type in the basic page?
Yeah, in a basic page, it pulls the type of font that you have in your settings. So in the site settings, you have 4 options for the font that you can display on your site. And that font, the style that you choose will be overall for your whole page. So if you go into site settings, into appearance settings is the tab for it, you can select which type of font you want for the entire site. We don't have a way to edit fonts specifically for each page. What we want is to make sure that every page on your site has the same type of font and feel so that you have a good experience for your entire site.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Let's see. Jan, is there a way to create and add tabs on a page? So this is different from an accordion. Is there a way to do that on the basic page that you've shown us?
Yeah, the only way that you would be able to add tabs into a basic page is if you were to create it as a child page within a folder. When you have a child page, then all of the child pages inside of a folder will have a tab on the left-hand side of the menu as a menu, and that's how you would go to all of those pages. However, you can't create multiple tabs in one page to access multiple pages. It would only work with inside of a folder, all of the child pages of that folder will display as menu titles on the left and as a submenu.
Great, thanks so much. A few more questions with the time that we have left. So this is a question about the custom URL, Jan, that you showed us in the settings. And I'm going to try my best to summarize this well. Is there a way to, can I change the custom URL without having the parent page in the URL? I think if that makes sense. I think an example, the example that I have here is it possible? So for example, it goes myparish.org/folder/subfolder/page name. Can I change that so it's just my page URL/page name? So can I bypass essentially the parent pages, I think is the question here.
Yeah, the way to bypass the URL on a parent page would be to set it as a folder only, where it doesn't have an actual landing page for it. That would be the only way to make it so that it doesn't take into the URL those parent pages, and it would go straight to whatever the page name is.
So if I were to edit the URL, I'd only be able to edit what comes after those parent pages unless I turn it into a folder, correct?
That's correct.
Awesome, thanks so much. Is there a way to insert a table in a basic page?
There is not at the moment a way to insert a table on a basic page. What I would recommend would be to change that table into a photo and upload the photo instead onto your basic page.
Great. In the accordion section on a basic page, is there a way to reorder the items?
Currently, there is not a way to reorder the items on a basic page. However, you can reach out to our support team if there is a section that you'd like reordered, rather than typing it all out and recreating your accordion from scratch. Get in touch with our support team, see if there's a way that they can re-edit that for you and reorder to the way that you need it.
That sounds like a plan, Jan. I'll be sure to watch out for those emails from anyone who needs support on that front. Maybe we can, I think we've got time for maybe one or two more questions. And again, if we don't cover your question today, expect an email from the support team or from Chris downloading all the information from today. So I think we have room for one more question. And I think the question here, Jan, has to do more with the templated homepage that you showed us. There's space, it seems, for 3 announcements there. Is there a way for me as an admin to highlight one of those 3, make it kind of the spotlight announcement on my homepage?
Yeah, absolutely. In that announcements module of the homepage, to the left of it was the featured section. You can use that featured section to highlight anything, any content from your site, be it an announcement, an event, a page, or a resource. The same way that I showed you how to do the content block editing on a basic page, that uses the same technology. And so you would just use the search bar on it, find the announcement either by direct URL or typing in the title of that announcement and setting that as the featured item, and then pressing save and publishing the page.
Great, sounds good. Well, Jan, I think that puts us at time for questions today. And I know some more questions are being put in the chat. So if you still have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Andrea and I have been looking and we've been recording all of your questions. And so what we'll ensure moving forward from today is if we didn't cover your question in today's webinar, or if it's a specific thing that you're struggling with on your pages, Andrew and I will proactively reach out to you from here, and we can be in touch and we can see how we can resolve those issues or show you some more in detail how to achieve what you're hoping to achieve.